It's over. Go home.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 fourth wall breaks in film.
It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for Deadpool 2. Well, we don't have that kind of money.
For this list, we're looking at the most creative instances in cinema where characters addressed or acknowledged the audience watching at home or in the theater. We'll save breaks in animated films for another list. Which of these fourth wall breaks impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. It must be some kind of hot tub time machine. We all know the feeling when a character says the name of the movie or TV show they're in.
Oh boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie.
I'm telling you, these drug dealers represent a clear and present danger to the United States.
He said it! He said it!
Hot Tub Time Machine had a little fun with that. In this ridiculous premise, four friends realize they've accidentally gone back to the year 1986 after partying in, you guessed it, a hot tub. During the moment of realization, Craig Robinson's Nick says the film's title and gives a deadpan look directly into the camera.
It must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
Of course there would be a line referencing the silly title. But to pair it with a fourth wall break that calls attention to movies saying their own names? Simple but genius. Number 19. Bath Scene. 1 week. Fourth wall breaks have been in cinema longer than many may realize. Although it wasn't the first to do so, this Buster Keaton film features one of the earliest and most memorable instances. In the scene, co-star Sybil Seeley's character takes a bath and drops her soap on the floor. As she gives a knowing smile to the camera, a hand covers the lens so we can't see her reach out of the tub. It was a pretty racy joke by 1920s or even today's standards. However, it's so cheeky that we also can't help but laugh. Buster Keaton was truly a trailblazer of visual gags, stunts, and even the fourth wall break. Number 18. Fighting with the Narrator. George of the Jungle. Adapting an incredibly silly cartoon into live action can be tough. Fortunately, this adaptation was willing to be just as ridiculous as the source material. The plot follows a Tarzan spoof named George of the Jungle as he tries to protect his home from evildoers. Throughout the movie, the witty narrator has a lot of fun making fun of the movie's villains. In one scene, he takes shots at two poachers who find themselves in a tight spot.
Oh, no!
Oh, no was right for the exhausted ape nappers.
Why don't you say something constructive for a change? Like what we should do now?
One of them gets fed up and starts arguing with the narrator. Hearing the omniscient voice have fun with the gag by changing the speed and sound of his voice made the joke more charming.
Thor, were you fighting with the narrator?
Well, he started it.
Did not.
You did too.
Did not.
You did too.
Number 17. The Daily Regimen. The Wolf of Wall Street. Chronicling the real-life rise and fall of stockbroker Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street offers a lot of insights into his wild life. The lead character takes particular pride in his dangerous diet. As Belfort leaves his extravagant house, he lists all the substances he takes on a regular basis, before mentioning his personal favorite object, money.
Well, because it's awesome. Want to make them.
It isn't just Belfort bragging about himself. In fact, he's actually selling the audience on this lifestyle and the power that comes with it. Considering the rest of the movie shows just how incredible a salesman he is, this scene is a great setup.
It also makes you a better person. You can give generously to the church or political party of your choice.
Number 16. Hater meets creator. Annie Hall. Do you ever wish you could pull out the creator of something to win an argument online? Because we do all the time. But even in the pre-internet days, it would have been a godsend. Annie Hall taps into that satisfaction. As Alvy and Annie stand in a movie line, an obnoxious patron behind them begins to loudly state his opinions. Alvy gets so annoyed that he complains to us, and surprisingly, the pretentious filmgoer hears him.
What do you do when you get stuck on a movie line with a guy like this behind you?
Wait a minute, why can't I give my opinion? This is a free country?
The man tries to tell Alvy that he's entitled to his opinions on the ground that he teaches a class on media theorist Marshall McLuhan. Hilariously, Alvy then pulls McLuhan into the shot to tell him he's wrong.
I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Number 15. Hulk to the Rescue. Gremlins 2, The New Batch. For this sequel, the filmmakers yet again let a pack of vicious gremlins loose on an unsuspecting community. But how do you top the mayhem of the original? With a massive fourth wall break, of course. During their rampage, the film itself messes up and it's revealed that they broke into the audience's theater and tampered with the projector. After a mother and employee complain, the theater's manager enlists the help of world-famous wrestler Hulk Hogan.
Gremlins? In this theater? Now? Okay, you guys, listen up. People paid good money to see this movie.
All it takes is some light threatening to get things back on track. With an apology from the man himself and a promise that it won't happen again, Gremlins 2 proceeds.
Well, if I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins 2 right now. Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
Number 14. Who'd pay to see that? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. After finding out a movie based on the comic they star in is being made, the eponymous Jay and Silent Bob track down the creator for a paycheck.
Oh my god, don't tell me you have no idea there's a movie being made of the comic you two were the basis for.
What? Since when?
He explains that the rise in popularity in comic book movies has led to studios buying up every property. The entire scene is littered with nods toward Hollywood filmmaking and toxic fandom. Additionally, Ben Affleck also comments on his real-life self. However, the biggest fourth wall break comes when discussing the lowbrow humor of their comic. After asking who would pay to see such a thing, they all give a look into the camera.
Jay and Silent Bob movie? Who would pay to see that?
It's a great joke at the audience's expense. Number 13. The Literal Wall. Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is full of wonderful comedic action bits, but there's absolutely no topping the final one. During the climax, a massive brawl breaks out between the villains and the citizens of Rock Ridge. However, it then cuts to the set of a musical mid-production.
Throw out your hands, stick out your tush, hands on your hips, give them a push, you'll be surprised you're doing the bridge mistake. Voila!
All right, cut! Audiences may have been wondering what was happening. In an impressive display of taking things literally, the chaotic fight breaks through a literal wall, spilling out into another set. The bit goes on for a while, going from the Warner Brothers lot to the famous Chinese theater in Hollywood. We have to respect the commitment to this hilarious bit.
Wow, you shot the bad guy.
Well, what do you want to do now?
Come on, let's check out the end of the flick.
Yeah. Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending.
Number 12. Into the Camera. Trading Places. While the fourth wall break in this classic comedy is small, it never fails to elicit a chuckle. After two wealthy commodity brokers start arguing over nature versus nurture, they decide to perform an experiment.
You'd have to put him in the wrong surroundings, of course, with the worst sort of people. I mean real scum, Randall.
We've done it before.
They agree to force two men from opposite backgrounds to switch places and see how it affects them. While Eddie Murphy's Billy Valentine is taking the place of one of their wealthy employees, the two teach him about commodities in an extremely condescending manner. The comedian can't help but give a perfectly timed look into the camera when they really treat him as a simpleton.
Pork bellies, which is used to make bacon, which you might find in a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich.
It was a smart way to let the audience know that he is extremely clever. Number 11. How to Wrap Things Up. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Robert Downey Jr.'s Harry mainly narrates this Christmas murder mystery. However, there are a few instances in which he addresses the audience directly.
Okay, I was a bad narrator again, because the kid at the beginning was the magician, right? That was me. I don't want to put this on you, but some detectives, if you've been paying attention, I mean, I shouldn't have to...
The most memorable comes at the very end. With the story wrapping up, Harry sits in front of a camera and struggles with how to end the movie. He's then rudely interrupted by Val Kilmer's Perry, whom Harry now works for.
I would say that this movie is about friendship. Friendship is
What are you doing?
Is sacred. I'm just trying to wrap up the movie and leave the people with a message.
It seems Perry also understands he's in a movie, making jokes about us validating our parking and apologizing to Midwesterners for swearing so much. Even a few more seconds with these two was comedic gold. But it was also a clever way to end a movie that was already exceptionally cleverly written.
Please stay for the end credits. If you're wondering who the best boy is, it's someone's nephew. Don't forget to validate your parking.
Number 10. Courtroom scene. Goodfellas.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
From the moment Henry Hill tells us he always wanted to be a gangster, we hang on his every word. Throughout this crime classic, Ray Liotta's narration carries us through life in the mob, but it becomes more of a confessional as he turns informant against them. This change is represented visually during his trial. As the scene goes on, the overhead narration turns into a fourth wall break where Henry addresses the camera.
Didn't mean anything. When I was broke, I would go out and rob some more. We ran everything. We paid off cops, we paid off lawyers, we paid off judges.
He walks around the courtroom as if he's giving a presentation. The final scene shows him living in a suburban neighborhood with a slight smirk to the camera as he laments his average life.
I'm an average nobody. Get to live the rest of my life like a schnook.
Number 9. Countdown list within a countdown list. High Fidelity.
My desert island. All time, top 5 most memorable breakups in chronological order are as follows.
Like many of us here at WatchMojo, Rob Gordon spends his time making countdown lists. While many made with his friends and coworkers are music-based, the ones he constructs with us are based on his love life. Rob lists his all-time top 5 biggest heartbreaks after another failed relationship and spends the movie taking us through each one of them. Upon the realization that he's just lost his greatest love, he lists the top 5 things he misses about her.
Top 5 things I miss about Laura. 1, sense of humor. Very dry, but it can also be warm and forgiving. And she's got one of the best all-time laughs in the history of all-time laughs.
It's a unique structure for a movie overall, but it also gives the viewer a keen understanding of Rob as a character. John Cusack's charismatic performance also helps.
Anyway, I've started to make a tape in my head for Laura. Full of stuff she'd like. Full of stuff that would make her happy.
Number 8. Celebrity cameos. The Big Short. Since it focuses on specific details about a major mid-2000s US financial crisis, The Big Short uses a lot of complex terminology that the average viewer might not understand. The filmmakers apparently saw this coming and implemented the most creative way they could think of to explain things. Whenever a complicated topic comes up, it cuts to a celebrity who explains the topic in a way the viewer can understand.
So people who are watching and think that I won't lose will make a side bet. Now this is the first synthetic CDO.
I love Selena Gomez. I bet you 50 million she wins.
At one point, Selena Gomez plays blackjack with economist Richard Thaler to explain synthetic CDOs. This is also how we get to see Anthony Bourdain use a fish analogy to explain collateralized debt obligation. But one of the most memorable scenes sees Margot Robbie educate audiences while taking a bath.
Here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath to explain.
Basically, Louis Rainieri's mortgage bonds were amazingly profitable for the big banks.
Number 7. A little bit about Tyler Durden. Fight Club.
Tyler also worked sometimes as a banquet waiter at the luxurious Pressman Hotel.
Although Edward Norton narrates Fight Club, one key scene has him speak directly to the camera. And that is to tell us about the day-to-day life of enigmatic future antagonist Tyler Durden. One of Tyler's jobs as a projectionist allows him to splice racy frames into family-friendly films.
While the rest of us were sleeping, he worked. He had one part-time job as a projectionist.
He points out cue marks, which he calls cigarette burns, the signal for projectionists to switch a film reel. This clever moment ties to other blink-and-you'll-miss-them moments within the film. More interestingly, before actually meeting him, there are several images of Tyler spliced in throughout the film. And, like the movie says,
nobody knows that they saw it, but they did.
Number 6. Choose your own ending. Wayne's World. Wayne's World has plenty of creative fourth wall breaks. The product placement scene is nothing short of genius.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor. Sorry you feel that way.
But nothing in the movie is as astounding and absurd as its endings. Yes, plural. After the heroes pull off their crucial broadcast, everything goes horribly wrong. Garth even dies.
Why, God?
Naturally, it's an incredibly dissatisfying conclusion, and the duo appears to turn back time for a do-over.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Sure. Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending. Good call.
Next is the silly Scooby-Doo conclusion, in which Old Man Withers is unmasked as the real villain.
Why, it's Old Man Withers, the guy who runs the haunted amusement park.
Finally, it's the mega happy ending in which everything is resolved and everyone, including the villain, gets their happy ending. It's a great joke that lets them find the conclusion they wanted.
Isn't it great that we're all better people? Fish!
Number 5. Get on with it! Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Fourth wall breaks are generously sprinkled throughout this comedic gem. But the get on with it bit remains one of our favorites. After Sir Galahad enters a castle in search of the Grail, he's told by Dingo that it isn't there. What would normally be a completely average scene is made so much better by a well-placed fourth wall break. Upon completing the interaction, Dingo turns to the camera to ask if this scene should have been cut.
Do you think this scene should have been cut? We were so worried when the boys were writing it, but now we're glad. It's better than some of the previous scenes, I think.
She's then told by numerous characters from different settings, some of which the movie hadn't introduced yet, to get on with it. Even God speaks from the clouds to tell her to get a move on.
Oh, I am enjoying this scene.
Get on with it!
Number 4. Be kind, please rewind. Funny games. In both versions of one of the most unique home invasion thrillers ever made, a vacationing family is tormented by two seemingly polite young men. The villainous Paul is acutely aware he's in a movie and even asks the audience their thoughts on what they're watching.
There has to be a bet. I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? You're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on,
And by the time we reach the climax, the antagonist makes it very clear that the family never stood any chance of winning. After the other assailant, Peter, is shot by the mother, Paul frantically searches for the TV remote. He then rewinds the scene to stop her from grabbing the gun that takes Peter out. In the end, they had always stacked their twisted game in their favor.
Do you think it's enough? I mean, you want a real ending, right? With plausible plot development, don't you?
Number 3. Never question Bueller. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller is one of the most iconic characters to break the fourth wall in cinema history. He also perfected the post-credits scene long before superhero movies made it a mainstay.
It's over. Go home.
While we love hearing all his asides throughout the movie, his opening presentation is the most impressive scene.
This is my 9th sick day this semester. It's getting pretty tough coming up with new illnesses. If I go for 10, I'm probably gonna have to barf up a lung. So I better make this one count.
Through a series of well-laid steps, Ferris tells all the kids watching how to perfectly fake an illness so that you too can stay home from school. We can only imagine how many high schoolers tried similar methods. The cherry on top is seeing him elaborately set up his bedroom to help keep up the ruse.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Number 2. 16 Walls. Deadpool.
Oh, hello. I know, right?
It simply wouldn't be a list of fourth wall breaks without the merc with a mouth. Both movies are overflowing with breaks that range from subtle to over the top, like a glorious post-credits sequence in Deadpool 2. One incredibly clever line from the first movie comes when Deadpool introduces his roommate Al. He talks to the camera in both the present and past. Wade happily declares that the number of breaks happening here adds up to something spectacular.
Her. Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
While we're not 100% about that math, it's a great joke regardless. We can see why Wade couldn't resist calling attention to the memorable achievement. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The latest in VHS technology. Spaceballs. It seems many Mel Brooks characters are aware they're in a movie.
I lost. Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to lose. Let me see the script.
That certainly did not change in Spaceballs. After losing track of the hero's location, the villainous Dark Helmet relies on his underling for help. The solution is simple. They just have to look at a VHS copy of Spaceballs. Not only are they able to use the tape to get crucial information, but they also fast forward to the very scene they're in.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
The extremely meta moment leads to a comical and philosophical debate about how time works there. Thanks to this fourth wall-breaking VHS, Spaceballs created a gag that still makes us laugh now, just as much as it did then.
Sir! What? We've identified their location. Where? It's the moon of Vega. Good work. Set a course and prepare for our arrival. When? 1900 hours, sir.
By high noon tomorrow, they will be our prisoners.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.